But my parents had this expectation that I would go to prep school, that I would go to a university of my choosing and carve out a career, which I did. And we had a family prep school, the Loomis School. It's called the Loomis Chafee Institute. My father went there, two of my brothers went there, my sister would go there, nieces and nephews would go there. Most of our charitable giving is to that school. And when I went through the process of each school, and I went to Loomis, and I went to Choate and Batcher and Kate down in Ojai for an interview, and I went to Robert Louis Stevenson, and each place, the interview was the same. It was 20 minutes with my mother, 5 minutes with me. And then they would open up this folder of my academic prowess, so to speak. And there would be this grumble. You're going to need to bring up this academic level. Your teachers seem to think you're pretty bright, but you don't really have organization to follow through. You bring it up. Now, I'm an athlete, and a coachable one, and I took these words as encouragement, so I said, yes, sir. Of course, I said yes, sir for many years because I married a Marine Corps general's daughter. A lot of yes, sirs to the general, a lot of yes, sirs to the wife. Yes, ma'am. Anyway, then we got to Menlo. Came down Valparaiso Boulevard, or Valparaiso Road, fantastic street, by the way. And then we come into Menlo. We come out of this cluster of oak trees, and there sitting on a rise in the hill, the symbol of Menlo, Douglas Hall. You know it as Stent. I know it as Douglas Hall. And I walk up the steps, and that first office belongs to Fred Havelson, the assistant headmaster. And out walks this man, and he's so orange. He's got this suntan like he belongs in Miami Beach. He's puffing on a big Cuban cigar. You could do that in those days, I suppose. And he had this haircut that looked so precariously combed on his head that a puff of wind would blow it away like a dandelion. And he had these shoes, these leather shoes. And it looked like he chased a bunch of lower school kids, stole the basketball, chopped it up, and made shoes out of them. And he invites me into his office, but his countenance, the look on his face was so serious and stern, I figured it was the same kind of interview. And then he said to my mother, can you wait outside? I'd like to interview Robert alone first. I said, okay, that's different. And you gotta remember, prep school, fine prep schools, each one of these schools asking me tough academic questions about my ability. And Fred started asking me these fantastic questions that I could answer. Like, what do you like to do? What kind of person are you? What are the good qualities of a teacher for you? I could answer all those. And he said to me, he asked me a question that I think my answer made him pause. He said, he asked me, Robert, is there someone in your life that's going through what you're going through? And I said, without hesitation, yes. And I think Fred was fishing for a friend or maybe a brother or a sister. And I said, Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. Now, it's a TV show. Any English teacher will tell you all the characters were flat. And Fred wanted to know why. And I said, because Gilligan ruins every rescue, but he never intends to do this. And in my life, I make these mistakes. I leave my bicycle out in the rain. I forgot. And there was a test today. Really? Homework? I mean, I get the executive function today. I didn't get it then. Fred invited my mother in, and then the moment, the academic record. And Fred began to peruse this folder with the reading glasses at the end of his nose, and he took them off and he folded his arms on the table and he said to me, Robert, if you should choose to come to Menlo, I want you to know, if you're ever homesick, if you're ever struggling in a class, if you are ever needing somebody to tutor you or help you organize your work, Menlo's going to come through for you because we're a family and we're a community. That was sold. That was it. Hook, line, and sinker for me. Menlo was going to be the place. Just at the end, Fred said to me, and this is really the essence of Fred Havelson. He said, I have something to tell you before you leave, and it could bring you great comfort, and it could scare the death out of you. I was all ears. And he said, Menlo is not just a school with teachers and students preparing for college. not just athletics and academics, not just dorm life and dorm food. He said, it's an experience. It's the Menlo experience. And then with that face of his, that Daryl alluded to, he said, and the Menlo experience will be part of your life forever. Everything you do will be tied back to Menlo. And Fred was right, because when I graduated and went off to USC, I was on the fence about joining a fraternity. But my classmate Scott Reed and a friend Bob Tate were in a fraternity, and I figured they got Menlo guys, might as well go. And it was fantastic. Some of my best friends in the world from that fraternity. When I got to the end of my USC days, what am I going to do with this English degree? I thought of the great Dan Kaler and what he had done for me. You see, Dan Kaler was the first teacher who validated that I was a critical thinker, that I wasn't just some, here's 20 words, now memorize them. I could actually use them in my life. That I could read that literature and not just worry about some dead white guy from Russia who wrote the story. What does the 15-year-old Rob Richmond think? And how is he going to use it in his life? And that's what it was all about. So I chose to be a teacher. And when I got to that, I'm a public school teacher. I taught at a school called Rocky Mountain High. Is that a beautiful name for a school? Rocky Mountain High. And I turned it into a little mini Menlo. That was what it was, the best public prep school you've ever seen. But you see, Fred was the dream weaver. That little mystical, magical Menlo thread that he was weaving in the fabric of my life and anybody else who came in contact with him. My father has told me many times, and my sister could appreciate this, if these are threads in our lives, it only works if you activate the thread. I don't care if you're a freshman at this school, or if you're a senior just a couple of months from your graduation, or an alum returning, or a faculty member, or a former faculty member, or a friend of Menlo. If we activate the thread of Menlo in our lives, then my father says we get a thing called all the good vibes. And that's what I want, all the good vibes. I'm standing here 53, my chiropractor would be thrilled at how well I sat. Straight up and nice. I appreciate this moment, really I do. And thank you so much, everybody, for this.